Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. It is Tuesday, August 9th, and we are here on Tuesday to talk some baseball. Tuesdays, we talk baseball. This is the Slate. We are a DraftKings show that really dives into anything and everything when necessary, but we do have some structure on this program. But basically, we try to give you the most actionable stuff on that given day based on the sports calendar. And Tuesdays, baseball season's pretty busy. 15 games to go. There is a game in action. The Royals and the White Sox. Those Royals, they're coming off a nice thrashing of the Red Sox over the weekend at home. Anyway, Matt LaMarca is here. Matt Meiselman is here. The Mats and Glash. That is the show for you today. We will take you up until about 6 o'clock Eastern. Full disclosure, I am in Los Angeles, so I am looking forward to this Dodgers Twins mini-series, more so tomorrow, because I'm going to a game tomorrow. So I want to pick for that game. I'm trying to find out who's pitching in that game tomorrow. It doesn't seem like they've listed a pitcher yet, because that's baseball for you, right? They don't list pitchers anymore.
That's baseball, Susan.
and the 1-2.
Pitch.
Hit to deep right center as it goes to left field. Anyway, what is we'll start with you, LaMarca, since you're very chipper to start the program. What comes to mind when you look at this big slate in baseball? DFS, betting, what do you got for us?
I'm going to start on the betting side.
Yeah.
And I look at a lot of overpriced favorites tonight. I think that this is a good night to take a flyer on some moderate to heavy underdogs.
Love it.
For example, my New York Mets, I love the Mets. There's no reason that they should be 3-1 favorites tonight. It's just not, they're not that much better than the Reds, right? I mean, they're better for sure. They're better, but like they're almost minus 300. They are minus 320. That's absurd. So yeah, I like the Reds in there. And I think that Meiselman's going to give some more reasons on the Reds in a second.
You never have to guess that I'm going to agree on the Reds. Just to quickly throw that in there. I'm on the Reds like 5 days a week. So, yeah, I agree.
I like the Texas Rangers tonight at plus 165, plus 155. One of the most underrated pitchers in baseball in Martin Perez. 4 straight starts with 1 earned run. He's had 2 previous starts against the Astros this year. One was a complete game shutout. The other was 7 innings of 1-run baseball. I just don't think that the pitching matchup is being adequately factored in there. And then there's another one too. I think you can take a little stab with the Detroit Tigers. I definitely think that this is probably the shakiest of my wagers here, the one that I'm least confident in because we're going up against Shane Bieber. But Shane Bieber isn't quite the same Shane Bieber that he's been in the past, right? He's not the Cy Young candidate Shane Bieber. He's got a 3.54 xERA. He's fine. He's a good pitcher, but he is not a elite arm at this point. So I think it's a good day to take some shots. The beautiful thing about grabbing these big underdogs is we don't need to win them all, right? If we can win like half of our bets on these guys, we'll be pretty happy at the end of the night.
Okay. I like it. And I can kind of sense where you might be leaning with that edge or that direction where you might lean on the DFS side of things too. But yeah, I mean, you look up and down this board, Meiselman, Shohei Ohtani's like the only starting pitcher I look at and go, that guy I wouldn't bet against. But everyone else, like, especially with LaMarca's point, oh, he shakes his head as I say that. Martin Perez, maybe even like a first 5 line on the Rangers against the Astros. You just take the sure thing in the Perez innings. It's also, can I just say too, like speaking of large underdogs, the Nationals, for crying out loud, the Cubs are minus 200 for the second straight night. That shows what the Nationals are putting out there on a nightly basis. Holy crap.
I wrote them up in my best bets article as well. So I forgot to mention them, but yes, I'm on the Nationals too. Because the Cubs shouldn't be minus 200 against anyone.
And the Cubs they just dealt 4 guys at the deadline, so their bullpen isn't as good as it was before the deadline. They have one of the best bullpens in baseball, the Chicago Cubs, but not anymore. They dealt all those guys, including Robertson. Anyway, Meiselman, what about you? What jumps out at you?
So I'm giving like the I guess this is the semi-agreement head shake because I like the idea of the underdogs tonight, but I don't think I'm on a lot of these same ones. Like the pitching matchups, these are some of my teams that I bet on a lot, like the Nationals and the Tigers and the Rangers, who I had in every game against the White Sox. I think they split that series. But the pitching advantages for the favorites in some of these are really extreme. Like Marcus Stroman is a lot better than Paolo Espino. Because Espino might be the worst.
Though, if you look at the numbers, not to be that guy.
All right, I'm gonna have to do some typing quickly while I
it's like a 4.25 versus a 4.75 xERA.
I think Espino's been quite a bit. It's also the parks they pitch in. Like that'll have a decent impact. And Wrigley is really weird, so I think you kind of have to look at more like historical results for Cubs pitchers in particular. Because that stadium can change so much from game to game. But I think we should expect Stroman to be a lot better going forward, regardless of what it's been this year. The Nationals offense right now also, like, they traded away Juan Soto. They're really bad. And Shane Bieber versus Tyler Alexander, like, that is a massive mismatch. So I'm certainly not saying bet the favorites in these games, but I'm not that excited about the underdogs. Like, I agree. I lean towards the underdogs, but those are not the ones I'm most excited about. I think the one that I fully agree on is the Reds. And there's a lot to say about this one. Most of it has to do with Mike Minor. So one of the big ways that we get an advantage on certain pitchers is when they switch from a park that really punishes them for fly balls to a park that doesn't. And Mike Minor is 6th in the MLB in lowest ground ball percentage. There's only 5 guys that have given up more fly balls per ball in play than him. And he pitches in Cincinnati, and that's a really, really bad thing in Cincinnati. In Citi Field, he can get away with that because Citi Field is in the top 3 for best pitcher-friendly environments. So you take a pitcher like Minor, who every time he gives up a reasonably hard-hit fly ball, in Cincinnati, there are a lot of home runs off of that. In Citi Field, there might not be. So I actually think like he's an average-ish pitcher, and he's in the right fit for a stadium for what he does. The Mets are obviously a lot better than the Reds, and the Reds are missing. Well, they traded Tommy Pham, they traded Brandon Drury, but I think the reason we're getting such a high number on this game is because Kyle Farmer didn't play yesterday, and Jonathan India left the game early. So there was some concern that those two guys would be out, and I think that's why the line was so high initially. But they're both playing, and India and Farmer, those are probably the Reds' 2 best players right now. I mean, they're missing they traded a lot of guys, and I guess they do have Joey Votto, but whatever. Those are 2 important players for them. So the lineup is better than I think what the odds makers expected. And then I think Mike Minor actually projects to do pretty well in a big stadium. Like Cincinnati is so awful for his style. Citi Field is a lot better. So I think Mike Minor should be able to hold the Mets in check. I really like the under on the Mets team total more than I like the Reds money line. So the Mets team total is 5.5. That's actually my favorite bet anywhere tonight. That's my favorite bet. Money lines, props, anything included. Like Mets under 5.5 runs is where I'd look first. So I think it would be in game props.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. What are we up to? Is that up to minus 130 now?
Minus 130 under 5.5 runs. Okay.
So it's moved a bit. I mean, this is definitely still way too high. It was like minus 120-ish a couple hours ago. Brandon Nimmo is not playing tonight. That helps the Reds case a little bit. So yeah, I mean, I still think this is definitely bettable. I think the Mets team total should be 4.5 tonight. We're getting a full extra run here, in my opinion. So I really like that one. I think the Reds money line is fine. And then I'll just throw in the one underdog we didn't talk about yet. That's the Red Sox. I just think the narrative around Boston is so negative at this point that there's a buy low opportunity, and that's what's creating this edge. Charlie Morton is better than Rich Hill. Are these the two oldest pitchers in the MLB?
No, you got the great Anibal Sanchez still.
Oh, okay, sure, but they're 2 of the oldest. But anyway, yeah. I'm not just going to say Morton and Hill cancel out because they're both old. Certainly not. Morton's better, but the gap I think is narrower than people realize. And also, the Boston offense with Devers healthy and with Pham now on the team, it's a good offense. Like, it's a really good offense. So I think because they've been losing, people have forgotten that. And because the defense has been so bad, people have forgotten how good the offense is. But I really like the Red Sox offense against Morton. So team total over. and Morton under for strikeouts. If you want to do those to avoid Boston's bad defense, like, sure, go for it. But anything related to the Red Sox hitting tonight, DFS included, I think it's a really strong spot for them.
Just double check if the players are going to ride bikes from the team hotel to the ballpark tonight.
We had to go there. Well, it doesn't pain me. You're the Red Sox fan, so.
No, I mean, if you want to bet on them, I would just make sure that they're taking the bus or taking a mode of transportation where their safety is fully insured.
That's a perfectly logical point. I can't disagree with that.
Thank you. That's what we do here. We bring, things that these are the things that you can't measure with Fangraphs, like human element, riding your stupid bike to go get lunch. That
is certainly true that we can't measure that on Fangraphs. I 100% agree.
I will say that I got a very good laugh out of the tweet today when it was like, Billy, this is Chris Sale. He's one of the most undervalued pitchers in baseball, but his defect is he can't ride bikes. Like the whole Moneyball. Yep. This is Chad Bradford. His defect is he throws funny. So brought that out with Chris Sale. I thought that was well done. DraftKings.
What a freaking mess. By the way, when it comes to the Reds, just to kind of, this is interesting to me. So looking at the betting splits, so 93% of the actual bets are coming in on the Mets, but 82% of the money is coming in on Cincinnati.
That tells you most of what you need to know.
So,
but no, I think just to go back to that game real quickly, the Mets stock after that series win over the Braves is pretty much at the highest it's been this season. And the Reds, I think, are still pretty undervalued by the public, right? They got off to that dreadful start where they were like 3-24 or something like that. But since then, they've been a roughly 500 ball.
Yeah, they just beat the Brewers in a series in Milwaukee, right? Like over the weekend.
They're like they're a perfectly below average baseball team.
Yeah,
they're fine. So like I don't think you should be getting close to 3-1 with them. It just
this line should be like 170 or something.
Speaking of underdogs,
200 maybe, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
Speaking of underdogs, the biggest discrepancy as it pertains to the betting splits, the money percentage, the number, the bet percentage in terms of the number of bets and the amount of money. All the money's coming in on St. Louis, who's won 7 in a row, and you've got the Rockies t-shirt on. Are you right? Is that a symbol? Is that your calling card to where I am also? Are you also on the Rockies today? Because they're not getting any love.
This shirt's just really comfortable, and it's a total coincidence. So not.
Okay.
I think the Rockies are a semi-decent bet. I think they're more relevant for fantasy though, because Miles Michaelis is going to have a hard time in Coors Field. So if we go over to DFS, like, I think that's the game where you really have to make your decision, because the Cardinals are the chalk. Like, they're the away team in Coors, and they're reasonably priced. I mean, Goldschmidt is 6,400, but you have two guys at the top of the order in Nolan Gorman and Dylan Carlson who are in the mid 4,000s, and Arenado and O'Neill are in the 5,000s. And then there actually are a couple sub 3K hitters in this lineup. So the Cardinals are the chalk. The Rockies on the other side, though, I don't think too many people are going to play them. So the Rockies, I think, are one of the best stacks tonight from an ownership perspective. The Cardinals, if you're playing in large GPPs, like, I just don't think you can stack them. Like, if you want to throw in a hitter or two from their lineup, sure, but this is the chalk team. And there's also so many reasonably priced pitching choices, just to go to that quickly, where, like, you can fit this stack. I mean, sure, Wheeler and Ohtani are there, but you've got, like, Jose Urquidy at 7,100 at home against Texas. Like, there are a lot of affordable pitchers that are going to make it easy to fit whatever stack you want. So, like, the Cardinals prices aren't going to scare too many people off. I think you kind of just have to stay away from them.
You got a thought there, LaMarca, and DFS and even the Rockies tonight?
For the most part, I am never going to play the top stack, quote unquote. It's just always a negative proposition from a leverage perspective. Like, they are mathematically going to be the highest scoring team most times if we simulated this slate like 1,000 times, but I don't think it's going to match up enough with their ownership, right? I mean, it's a 14 game slate. There are 28 different teams to choose from, and this is still baseball. Anything can happen. So I'm very much I'm very what's the word that I'm looking for? I believe in stacking the
Bullish,
chalky teams in MLB DFS.
I mean, there's no question that if every team had the same odds tonight to score the most fantasy points and you were just betting on it, the Cardinals are the best bet.
Correct.
They should, they are the most likely team to score the most runs, score the most fantasy points. But there are a lot of other team, like tier 1 is the Cardinals, but there are a handful of tier 2 teams tonight. Like the Dodgers are in a really good spot. The Rockies are in a really good spot. I think even though I like the Red Sox offense tonight, the Braves are also in a really good spot in Fenway against Rich Hill. Like you can bet on the Red Sox and still stack the Braves. I don't think that those are mutually exclusive. Like those, and you can stack the Red Sox offense too. I think that should be a relatively high scoring game. The Phillies are at home against Braxton Garrett. Like just play one of those teams. There's a lot of other good choices.
and just to clarify, 92% of the bets, 94% of the dollars coming in on St. Louis.
So the most interesting thing about St. Louis to me right now is they are like minus 200 to win the division. And they were, when we were on here a week ago, they were plus 150.
Wow.
And it's moved fast. I mean, they just swept the Yankees and the Brewers lost a home series to the Reds, like we mentioned. And the division, I think the odds should be up right now, right? Or do we have games in that?
We have the Royals and the White Sox are playing right now, but
why can't we have the Cardinals odds right now, Will?
I don't know. I've stopped trying to figure this out. I don't know. You're the content specialist. You talk to them.
All right. So go to make the playoffs. I just want to double check this also, because we had a line up here before the show.
Telling you.
Are the White Sox still listed here?
They sure are.
Okay. So this is my favorite future bet potentially right now. As far as teams are concerned, there are player awards I really like too, but I think they're also off the board. Tim Anderson is out for over a month as of today. They just announced he has a hand injury. And the White Sox, I'm just double checking over here on my other screen. The White Sox are losing to the Royals, and they are in third place in the AL Central by a couple games.
How in the world is that up when they're playing right now? But we can't.
Right. I don't understand. But this is, if the White Sox lose this game, I mean, I like this bet regardless. But if you can afford to wait for this game to end and they lose again, they also are playing a doubleheader tonight. I'm selling on the White Sox overall. Like I don't understand how people think Michael Kopech is good. I don't understand how people think Lance Lynn is good. I love Dylan Cease, and we can talk about his Cy Young odds, but Johnny Cueto also, like he is, it's a total mirage that his ERA is below 3 this year.
He stinks.
Yeah. He's been very lucky. And so has Kopech. And so has Cease also, honestly. Like Cease is good, but for him to have a 1.8 ERA, that's not sustainable. He's like a high 2s, low 3s pitcher. So he's very, very good, but him being sub 2 this year, like that doesn't make sense.
Is Cease scheduled to pitch in this series against the Royals?
I think he's pitching Thursday.
I'm only bringing that up because that will further, it'll help him, boost that number and make him even more of a appealing as a candidate for Cy Young, which we could certainly discuss that too.
Either way, his next matchup will be an easy one because the White Sox next series is against the Tigers at home. So
the player awards are up. What do you know?
Well, I guess Lance Lynn versus Brady Singer is not going to have a huge impact on the Cy Young. So it seems reasonable that those are available. Yeah, I mean, I like both Verlander and Cease right now. I think McClanahan's done.
Cease was plus 400 last week, now down to plus 280.
Part of that is he went 7 innings with only a run allowed against Texas, and McClanahan went 6+ innings, 3 runs, and only 3 strikeouts. Actually, I think it was 4 runs and 3 strikeouts against the Tigers. And we were talking about this before the show also. McClanahan is now at a career high in innings as of his last start. This is his second season in the majors. So last year he threw 123 innings. As LaMarca alerted me to, he wasn't injured in 2020. There just was no minor leagues in 2020. But the year before that in the minors in 2019, he also was around 120 innings. So this year he's approaching 130, and there's still 3 months to go, or 2 months to go. Like by the time we get to October, he'll have been way over what he's used to doing in terms of workload. And we're already seeing his velocity start to come down over his last handful of starts. So like, I think there's a chance he's not pitching by October.
They could shut him down.
Yeah.
And they are currently a wild card team. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That does hurt your case for the White Sox missing the playoffs. I now realize that as I'm saying it out loud, but I think the Rays and White Sox are kind of both in trouble.
Shut him down. But they might be skipping starts here and there.
Yeah, that probably is more likely. That's fair. I think the 6-man or rotation or, every other start or something like that could start happening later in the year.
And just to clarify also, because I'm unaware of this, we did this with the NBA in the play-in game. If you make the third wild card, you are a playoff team.
Yeah, that's different than the NBA because the wild card is the playoffs, and in the NBA, the play-in was not.
Okay. Very good. So as of right now, the White Sox are 2.5 out from that third wild card spot. The Rays are only up a half game on Seattle for the second wild card berth in the AL. It goes Toronto, Tampa, Seattle. And the Orioles are a game out.
I mean, that's going to be condensed, that wild card, all the way down the stretch. But I'm with Matt. These odds are just way out of whack. Like just looking at FanGraphs, which isn't even going to do things like take the Tim Anderson injury into account. Yeah. FanGraphs have them at 46% essentially to make the playoffs. And we can get them at plus odds here on the DK Sportsbook. So I think that's a great bet.
And as we're talking about this, Nick Pratto just hit a 2-run homer and the Royals are up 4-1.
Fine. That really is going to come down to the division. I don't think that there's a very good chance that the Central gets 2 teams into it when all is said and done. I know that we still have a ways to go, but
and the Twins are playing the Dodgers for a couple, right? Who does Cleveland have? Cleveland plays Detroit, so
Cleveland's in Houston for this series.
Oh, Cleveland's in Houston.
No, Texas is in Houston. Do I have that wrong?
Texas is playing Houston.
Cleveland's playing Detroit. Okay,
yeah.
So much easier than playing Houston.
I think that the Blue Jays and Mariners have pretty much carved out spots for themselves.
Especially with the White Sox and Rays having issues, the Mariners are in a good position.
Exactly. Yes. So it's really then, can any of those teams in the AL Central overtake the Rays, overtake the Red Sox and Orioles? I mean, the Orioles, don't forget about them, right?
Meiselman.
Yes.
You have to have a look at plus 700, please, right? To get in? They're a game
out. Baltimore? No way. I hate that so much.
Plus 700?
They're so bad. They're so bad. I'd rather take the Red Sox at plus 400. Do you know how much better you're biased now because the Red Sox, and I understand why, because the Red Sox have been so awful.
You're just a bird hater.
Yeah, seriously. What metrics are you looking at that the Orioles are worse than the Red Sox?
Well, on FanGraphs, despite the fact that the Orioles are 3.5 games up, the Red Sox have 3 times the playoff probability.
Yeah, that's poppycock in my opinion.
You just cited the FanGraphs play.
You're damn right. They're poppycock when I don't like what they have to tell me. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that FanGraph can incorporate the heart and soul.
Yes.
Of a guy like Adley Rushman.
If the Orioles didn't just trade Jorge Lopez and Trey Mancini. Like they gave up on the season.
Fortitude of an Adley Rushman.
I do think that if this season were an extra 50 games longer, that Adley Rushman would actually have a shot for Rookie of the Year. Because
and I will say too, it's kind of the Orioles have like an interesting dilemma in September. It's not a dilemma; it's a good dilemma. But like, let's say they're still in this thing. Do you bring up a Grayson Rodriguez and try to add him, even if just throw him in your bullpen? Right. I don't know if they would, but you've also got Gunnar Henderson, right? Like they have some guys that are in AAA, like ready to go, knocking down the door.
Okay. If they were planning on burning service time for top prospects, why would they trade Jorge Lopez and Trey Mancini though? It doesn't make sense. Like it's not congruent. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Right. I suppose that's fair, but I think you can do a little bit of contending and planning for the future.
That's fair.
Time.
And that has happened for teams that I think it's happened more in hockey because the playoffs are more random. But it's happened in baseball too. Like, I mean, this is a different kind of thing, but the Nationals got rid of Bryce Harper and won the World Series the next year. Like one player doesn't matter that much.
And for the record, I'm not necessarily saying that I think that the Orioles at plus 700 are a good bet to make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I'm just saying they're interesting, right? They have a few different things that they could do here.
Yeah, they're not out of it. It's not 0%, but I would lean towards the minus 1100, honestly. But if we were talking about like they were still 30-1, which they were at the break, because I think those were their odds around the All-Star break. If we were getting that number, like I'd be all in. That would be great odds. It's just not enough odds. But they could definitely. I'm not accounting for the will to win Hawk Harrelson style, but there could be like the Red Sox clearly are going in a different direction in terms of clubhouse mentality than the Orioles are. I just don't think that matters.
One more make or miss the playoff bet. Milwaukee Brewers, no playoffs, plus 155. I think they're a sinking ship. The clubhouse is reportedly just like livid over the fact that they traded Josh Hader. The Cardinals have officially leapt them in the standings, and they have a significantly easier remaining strength of schedule. I'm a believer that they will have to fight for a wild card spot, and I don't think it's a given that they finish higher than the Phillies in the standings. So I think that plus 155 is pretty generous on the no.
No,
and I'm
with you on that one.
If the Padres can't get their act together, that's something else.
Padres are going to be fine.
There's 16 games back in the division now. I know that doesn't matter because they're going to probably make a wild card, but no, I think the Brewers are definitely of those teams. I mean, there's no question the Phillies and Padres are better than them. Like that was true before they traded Hader.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Cardinals, we have like a lot of futures that I think are interesting. Can we go back to NL MVP? Because I know we talked about Goldschmidt being overvalued for like a while. I guess this is probably about a month ago.
I'm just really happy that Meiselman showed a little bit of movement on the heart and soul thing about the Orioles. There was a little
extra time. I think it's worth 1%. A
little bit. He came around a little bit.
And yeah, it does scare me to be backing a Red Sox team where it's just like it's a disaster.
I decided I want a team, like Bukes has the Mariners, they're his team. He can just say whatever. The team of destiny. He can say whatever kind of ridiculous stuff he wants to and gets away with it because like they're his team. I might try that with the Orioles. I'm just taking it for
they're not just his team. They're the team of destiny.
See, again, that's a ridiculous thing that he can say because they're his team.
Yeah.
Idiot. Anyway, go ahead. Paul Goldschmidt minus 140.
Yeah. So Paul Goldschmidt was even money like a month ago, and I think all three of us agreed that wasn't good odds. Like he was the favorite, but less than 50%. I actually think minus 140 now is a good bet. Austin Riley is only up here because of like the narrative and the contract. I actually think that had a huge impact on his odds. Like the day that he got the contract extension, he went from 10-1 down to 5-1.
Wow.
He went like 1 for 4 that day, but he got a contract extension and it changed the odds. I think it's just like part of it. No one's going to care about that by the end of the season. The same way no one's going to care about the Mariners' 11-game winning streak in July by the end of the season. No one will remember. And I don't think anyone will remember that Austin Riley is getting a lot of money 2 months from now. But Riley has been way worse than what he was doing for about a month in the last week. Like I think he had 2 hits in the Mets series. Where you the Mets
run through that gauntlet of Mets pitching. That'll cool down anybody. It's like spraying a fire hydrant on you.
He looked pretty silly up there against DeGrom and Scherzer. So Riley's cooled off a lot. And even before that, he was only like 5th or 6th in the National League in WAR. Like Goldschmidt's ahead by a lot. Arenado's ahead. Freeman's ahead. Dansby Swanson is ahead. Riley doesn't even have the highest WAR on his own team. So I don't think these odds for Riley make any sense. Like I really don't think he's that much in this race. And because of that, Goldschmidt, like narrative wise, I mean, the voters would love to give this thing to Paul Goldschmidt. I think, right? Is that like a fair statement that he's like a very well-liked player around the league? He's not Garrett Cole. That's the opposite.
Yes, I would buy that. And I know he came close. Did he win one when he was with the Diamondbacks?
He may have won a Silver Slugger. I don't think he won an MVP.
Okay. Yeah. So I think it sort of fits that, lifetime achievement type award too. And I'm with you in that it's hard to find like somebody who is going to challenge him, right? The Dodgers, you would love to have somebody from the Dodgers in the MVP conversation because they're the best team in the National League, but there's just too many of them, right? Like I would say that Trey Turner's been their best player this year. He's plus 2,500, but Mookie and Freddie Freeman are going to steal votes for him. Pete Alonso talk about a guy who like great hitting numbers, but he doesn't lead the Mets in WAR. I'm pretty sure it's Francisco Lindor, the most underrated player in baseball. So it's just hard to find somebody that can challenge Goldschmidt at this point in time if it's not going to be Riley. And with the Braves coming back to the pack and Riley cooling down a little bit, it does seem like minus 140 might be a good number.
So by WRC plus, Goldschmidt is at 189 and no one else is above 160 in the National League. The only guys ahead of Goldschmidt in all of baseball are Yordan Alvarez and Aaron Judge. So hitting statistics wise, and if you go by the counting stats too, I think Goldschmidt he's the NL leader in RBIs. I think that's still true. Pete is ahead.
Yeah.
Pete's at 95. Goldschmidt's he's at 84. Okay. So he's second in RBIs. He has 26 home runs, like more than enough home runs. He's batting .332 with the .415 on base percentage. Those are the two highest marks. So like he has all the counting stats, and then his advanced metrics are really good. Like if you ask me, who would you rather have for next year? Freeman's better. Alonso's better. Turner's better. Betts is better. But he's done so well this year to this point that he'd have to really, really struggle or get injured to not win at this point. Like I think Goldschmidt is north of 65% to win MVP right now.
Goldschmidt was he's finished in the MVP voting when he was in Arizona. His first All-Star year was 2013. He finished second in the voting for NL MVP. In 2015, finished second in the MVP voting. He won Silver Sluggers in each of those years. He was third in MVP voting in 2017. So he's never won the award. And in the last couple of years in St. Louis, he's been like top 20.
Right.
And then if the Cardinals win the division, that's just, and it's looking, I mean, they're 2 games up. They're minus 200 or so. I think the line went down, but it'll come back up. That's around where it was. The Cardinals are the favorites in the division. And if the Brewers fall apart, like more narrative for Goldschmidt carrying the underdog Cardinals past the Brewers. I do think Arenado is also somewhat interesting at 25-1, because if Goldschmidt does get injured, Arenado is going to directly benefit narrative wise from that. So like that's your hedge. So I kind of like both of those.
And no love for Alonso.
He's just, he hasn't hit well enough to really stand out. Like he's having a great season, but there's nothing across his statistics that is super special. And I think most people, I mean, Lamarca has already said it. Lindor is probably more valuable to the team. The Mets are also winning because of their pitching more than their offense.
Okay.
DeGrom is the Mets' best player by a mile.
Wow.
Right. It's been about their pitching, why they are where they are.
And was he was on one.
That was
Sunday.
an
My goodness.
It's not fair. He's doing a different thing than everyone else is doing.
Let's just real quick before we wrap up. I got 2 things. So I want to see, just to be sure, is this White Sox bet still on the board? It's still there at plus 150. That has not happened to us when we do this show.
No.
Typically, if the AL is playing, they take down everything AL. Everything.
They took down the wrong Central because we're missing the NL Central, but the AL Central's playing. Did they make a mistake?
No, not even both Centrals are off the board.
I don't understand.
Me either.
Take advantage while you can, I guess.
Go talk to your people, Meiselman.
No. They should do this forever. Give some back to the people. Like give people a chance to find this White Sox.
These are our people, okay? These are our people.
So the Dodgers are playing the Twins. Joe Ryan's pitching against Julio Urias. We don't know who's pitching tomorrow, do we?
Did the Twins have a pitcher get hurt and that's why their rotation's a bit messed up?
I have no idea.
I feel like someone got hurt.
I want to bet for tomorrow. I'm going to the game tomorrow.
Well, we can talk tomorrow, but
okay.
The people listening won't be able to hear that conversation.
Sonny Gray for the Twins. The Dodgers are not yet announced. So it's the Dodgers that we're waiting.
Oh, is it real? Okay.
Sonny Gray.
Oh, because Kershaw got hurt. That's what's going on. So we're gonna have someone from the minors called up.
I'm gonna go watch.
Sounds like a Twins bet coming.
I gotta watch some bum pitch tomorrow. I was hoping for like Gonsolin, or Gonsolin loves cats. You know, I'm a cat guy now. I was kind of Gonsolin would have been cool. Who else they got? They got some pretty good pitchers.
Stay in LA for an extra day and go to their next game.
I love Julio Urias. I think he's so good. I know he's pitching today, but
no. So here's the problem, Meiselman. I got to work a game tonight. We have an off day tomorrow, and Thursday the Dodgers are off. Then I leave Friday.
And then the Dodgers head to Kansas City.
Bingo. So tomorrow's the day. And it's Freddie Freeman bobblehead night.
Oh, that's fun. Well, even if you see a bad game, you still get a bobblehead, so that's cool.
I'll probably give it to Kaufman. He can collect it.
Sell it. Those things go for big bucks on YouTube.
How much you think? How much you think Kaufman would pay for it?
He would.
Is it going to affect your negotiating power if we talk about it now, or is he not listening? It's okay.
He won't. Well, you know what? I say that, he'll find it. So on that note, let's wrap the show. We'll talk offline about the tomorrow's game, but
absolutely
looking forward to your thoughts. Thank you all for joining. We packed in a lot there about the sport of baseball, and it's, the beauty of it and also the frustration of the sport. It's always fun. For Matt Meiselman, Matt LaMarca, thanks to Eamon and Pike behind the scenes getting us up and running here. The slate returns tomorrow, 5 Eastern in that window. They'll be talking golf, and the sweat is tomorrow at 11. See you then.